What I knew was safe, the unknown that was out there was terrifying, especially when thinking about the girls.
11-year-old Jaycee Dugard was getting ready to go to school, just like all the other kids. She left her Lake Tahoe, California home, dressed in all pink attire, and walked to her bus stop. Suddenly, a car pulled up right next to her. Jaycee thought the man might need directions, but that wasn't the case. He then used a stun gun on Jaycee, causing her to collapse on the ground that was covered in pine cones. She woke with her head face down inside the back seat of a stranger's car. The driver, Philip Garrido, with his wife Nancy in the back seat, holding Jaycee down. The malicious couple then continued their drive, laughing in disbelief they can't believe they actually got away with it, proceeding to drive 120 miles back to their home in California, which seemed to be completely normal from the outside. This is where Jaycee would end up staying for the next 18 years of her life. Philip Garrido was a serial rapist. He raped multiple women from 1972 to 1976 when he got caught. On November 22, 1976, Garrido talked a 25-year-old victim into his car, handcuffed one of her wrists, but luckily she managed to get away. Garrido then found another victim later that same day, took her to a shed in Reno, Nevada, and sexually assaulted her. Garrido got caught for the crime and was sentenced to 50 years for it. In prison, he met Nancy. Due to her visiting a relative who was in the same federal penitentiary Philip was in Kansas. Unfortunately, he only ended up serving 11 years of his 50-year sentence. That's because the board certified him as not contributing to menace to health, safety, and morals of society. He went to see his latest victim after his release, who reported him to his parole officer, who did nothing, refusing to electronically monitor him because to subject him to electronic monitoring would be too much of a hassle based on the hysteria or concerns of the victim. The couple had set up tents and soundproof sheds in their backyards, handcuffing Jaycee and locking her in so nobody could hear her screams or cries. Also informing her that dogs were ready outside to attack, waiting for her if she were to escape somehow. Jaycee held on to listening to the sounds of planes and trains as her only form of human contact. The only contact Jaycee had with the outside world was her captor, monster Philip Garrido, relying on him for food, water, everything. First week after the kidnapping, Philip brought her a milkshake and told her things are going to be different now, then proceeded to rape her for the first time. First of many times. This became a daily occurrence for years.
He told her demon angels, voices in his head, had revealed that she was supposed to help him with his sexual problems.
And that you were saving other little girls.
Yeah, how stupid is that? Snatching a little girl and then making her dress up. You know, it's all about control for him, for these other freaks that do this.
After a while, Philip would introduce Jaycee to his wife Nancy, who would tell Jaycee she's sorry for what Philip had done to her. Jaycee, craving any attention she could get due to severe isolation and loneliness that accompanies that, wanted to get Nancy to like her. This was out of fear she would get into trouble if Nancy didn't. Not to be fooled by Nancy though, she was just as evil as Philip, taking charge of captivity while Philip was jailed for failing a drug test. Parole officers would come to Philip's residence to check on him regarding his previous offenses, but never stumbled upon Jaycee. In 1994, the couple brought Jaycee her first real cooked meal in years, also informing her she was pregnant. The birth of her first child was complicated as there was no medical assistance, just the two monsters watching birthing videos. 3 years later, Jaycee gave birth to her next child the same way. Eventually, Jaycee and her two kids were allowed outside into the garden. The children were told Jaycee was their sister and Nancy was their mother. When Jaycee was 19, all 5 of them went to a summer fair, which thousands of others attended. That's how confident Philip and Nancy were that even if they went out in public, they wouldn't even try to run away or call for help. Jaycee says she felt scared and more safe with them through the conditioning she endured. She felt more comfortable sticking with them, not trying to run away or call for help. She often wonders why she didn't run away that day, but that's what she was thinking at the time. Jaycee showed several symptoms of what's called Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is a coping mechanism to a captive or abusive situation. People develop positive feelings towards their captors or abusers over time. Some say this is what helped her stay alive during captivity. Jaycee disagrees though. She classifies it as her just doing what it takes to survive. In 2009, Philip went with the two children to post flyers about his religious beliefs on the University of California campus. The campus officers deemed this to be strange activity, so they researched his background and they decided to question him and get in contact with his parole officer. The next day, Garrido was called in to meet his parole officer. He brought everyone with him, Nancy, Jaycee, and the two children, now ages 11 and 15. After intense and intelligent questioning by the officers, Garrido admitted to kidnapping Jaycee and said the children were his. Garrido had changed Jaycee's name, calling her Alyssa, so for the 18 years she wasn't able to say or write her actual name. This came into question when officers were questioning them. She was scared to say her real name, so she wrote it down. After Jaycee Lee Dugard and her children were found, Jaycee got in contact with her family. It was a miracle, giving hope to families of missing person cases. Jaycee received $20 million from the state of California due to the oblivious parole officers who spoke to Jaycee and her children while they were captive at Philip's residence while they were checking up on him from time to time. Jaycee also got custody of her two daughters and started animal therapy, riding and caring for horses to help cope with all that she had been through. She went on to release two books, one titled A Stolen Life in 2011 and Freedom, My Book of Firsts in 2016. Jaycee accepts what happened to her, but doesn't let it define her. She now has her own organization, the Jaycee Foundation, to help other trauma victims try and heal. In the backyard prison Philip and Nancy created, I didn't really think too much about the next day, let alone the future, Dugard wrote in an email to this news organization. Just getting through the day was what was important to me. When we were rescued and I started therapy, it was a combo of past, present, and future that I thought about. Nowadays, it's a lot more future. What happened to me will always be a part of who I am, but I don't let that be the only thing that makes me who I am. As for the horrifying, sickening kidnappers, Philip and Nancy Garrido, Philip is serving 431 years to life in California State Prison, and Nancy is serving 35 years to life in the California Institution for Women in Riversdale County. Both will never see the light of day again.